Oh, man, I don't even comment on the great hair that is shown in the opening. You know, I liked working at ESPN. I did. I enjoyed the people that I worked with. When I first was at ESPN, I would do a game on Tuesday, fly out there Wednesday morning, do shows Wednesday night, do shows Thursday, fly to my next game. It was nice. It was great. And then I just did Tuesday and Saturday, and I enjoyed it. I did. I don't have any problem with ESPN as an entity. I didn't anyway. I didn't have any problem with ESPN, the people that I worked for. I wasn't an ESPN employee for 10 years. I was an independent contractor working basketball games. But I got to tell you, ESPN has become a parody of itself. It is unwatchable. Like right now, I got this big old Kimberly Martin and two dudes I don't know talking, and Greeny is off somewhere on the show. You can't watch anymore. But last night, they sunk to a new low. Last night, ESPN, even for ESPN, went below what ESPN should be about. You know, my friend Will Cain worked at ESPN. I worked with him. He used to come on his show all the time. They smeared Will Cain, ESPN did, as a sexist. They pointed him out. They took words that he said, deliberately cut them, and put them into the ESPYs in a way that, well, did two things. One, they think it made Will Cain look sexist. It didn't. It just made them look stupid at ESPN. And two, they think it makes the women's national soccer team look good. This is a group of women that got beat by 15-year-old boys who complain all the time. They need all the help they can get. There's no question about it. But let me show you what ESPN did last night, and let's compare that to what was actually said. Let's go. Let's do it.
Critics pushing back at them.
I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. Soccer, for better or worse, on the men's side, across this globe, is much more popular than women's.
Oh, we get that argument all the time.
Nobody wants to hear or know. Tell you why it's like this. Now, there's two things, first of all. When you talk about, as Trevor Scales just laid out, the bonus difference between the men's team and the women's team, between what a winner, if it had been the U.S. men, would get in the World Cup and the women. The women got a pool, or got paid out from a pool of $30 million from the Women's World Cup. The men would draw from a pool of $400 million, okay? $400 million, $30 million. Why is that? It's because the Men's World Cup generates $6 billion in revenue. The Women's World Cup generates $131 million in revenue. If you want to talk about pay disparity, the Women's World Cup players get paid out 20% of the total revenue. The men get paid out 7%. As a percentage point, they are getting much more. The problem is, for anybody desiring equal pay, and by the way, I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. If the women generate more revenue, they should get paid more than the men. Don't strive for getting the same. Strive for getting what you're worth. And if you're worth more, then get more. And so what I'm saying to you right now is soccer, for better or worse, on the men's side, across this globe, is much more popular than women's soccer.
The women's game had higher ratings than the men's, though. So what do you say to that?
Charlie, that's in the United States.
That was in the U.S.
And that's comparing a women's World Cup final that featured the United States against a men's World Cup final in the United States that didn't feature the U.S. team.
Critics pushing back at them.
Yeah, so
I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself.
Yeah, so they just took everything he said completely out of order. They took the essence, the nuance, the statement that the man said. And if you listen to what the man said, he's actually saying that women get more paid and that it is ridiculous for even the women to want equal pay because by percentage they're getting more. But ESPN didn't want to do that. ESPN said, no, we're not doing that. We got to make these women look better by disparaging one of their own. The whole essence of this entire thing is they edited out his entire nuanced argument. The entire thing. To make these chronic whiners, these chronic complainers look better. When you have to edit, when you have to deceive, when you have to pull it around the back door, You ain't that courageous in the first place. Your accomplishment, your courage should stand on its own. It shouldn't need edited pieces. It should just be you're so courageous. It should just be your Peyton Hillis, man. You went out there and you had to bypass your niece to go get your son to go get your niece and then come back, both of whom are struggling. There is no nuanced argument with that. There is no editing it out. It's simply a man did that. There is no nuanced argument to Riley Gaines, who's going to join us coming up. There is no nuanced argument. It's Riley Gaines' fight. Walks in, sees Leah Thomas, a dude with his junk out in a women's locker room, goes and tells, says, what are we doing here? To the NCAA, and the NCAA completely botches it. Well, we made it unisex. That's courage. These women aren't courageous. They're soccer players playing against another bunch of bad soccer players across the globe. But they bitch and they moan and they whine, and you got to make up courage. That's why ESPN sucks. It absolutely sucks. Hey, I'll watch a game on ESPN, but it sucks. When you got to do that, when you're so freaking tied into bullshit, when that's what you got to do to give a courage. I'd like to see Dickie V up there for courage. He's documenting his cancer journey. I was texting with him last night. But when you got to make up stuff about a good man, and you did it knowingly, a man that worked for you, for a bunch of horrible, horrible, horrible individuals to show that they have courage so you can check all the boxes, you're full of crap. And ESPN, you're full of crap. But it is your level. It's not like that's not your level. I mean, I just read a story, Jacob Blake and the whole stuff that Jalen Rose, that is your level, ESPN. Congratulations. Last night, you sunk to your own level. Absolutely, 1,000%. And Livy Dunn, just go take your clothes off. We don't need jokes out of you. Just take your clothes off, act like this, make your money, but don't do anything other than that and gymnastics. My God, it was awful. And I only saw clips. I didn't even watch the damn thing. Hey, it just pisses you off because Will Cain is such a good dude, such a smart dude. Gave ESPN what they wanted. ESPN Radio has been a joke. Here's where it's been a joke. Let me just say, Will had an afternoon show. ESPN has been a joke ever since they put that idiot Lebitard on. Lebitard's whining about ESPN Radio, but he's the one that ruined ESPN Radio. He's the one whose ratings were so bad, no stations across the country would take him, no affiliates would take him, because frankly, they didn't want to hear his stupid stuff. The worst lead-in ever. Will Cain was in the afternoon, and he had overcome these idiots, and he did, and then he went for a better gig, and now ESPN does what ESPN does. They besmirch, and knowingly besmirch, a guy who worked like hell for them. What a crap company. What a crap group. Will Cain, you keep doing your thing, but ESPN, congratulations. You sunk to your freaking level. That's who you are. Good for you. You proved it once again.